What is going on, everybody? This is Sports Opinionated back with another video, and we just got breaking news that the 49ers are trading up with the Miami Dolphins, and they are getting the third overall pick in this year's draft. And this has so many implications because this obviously means that the San Francisco 49ers are eventually moving off from Jimmy Garoppolo. We don't know how soon, but they are definitely getting a quarterback. So I'm going to go into that. I'm going to explain what I think they're doing, what their thought process is, and what this move means really for both sides, because there's implications for the Dolphins too. This means a lot for Tua. If you could just do me a favor, like this video, and if you want to see more NFL content like this, I post all the time. Just subscribe, and yeah, without further ado, let's get it. So this obviously means that the San Francisco 49ers are gonna get a quarterback in this year's draft, and a lot of people thought maybe they stay pat, try to let a Trey Lance or maybe a Mac Jones fall to them, but they were aggressive, obviously, and the draft hasn't even started. A lot of these trades happen on draft day. So this is very interesting. This means they're going to pick a quarterback, and this obviously means that they are in love with both Zach Wilson and Justin Fields, because you don't know what the Jets are going to do. You don't know who might trade up. So if you make this move, you have to be in love with the idea of getting either Zach Wilson or Justin Fields. I mean, maybe Trey Lance, but I don't know. He's a little bit raw. He has a ton of talent, but he just didn't play a lot. He opted out of last season, only played one game, and he's only averaged about 18 passes per game in his career, but he has a lot of untapped potential. And there's a report that came out that they're not interested in trading Jimmy Garoppolo. Honestly, I don't think there'd be much of a market. They'd almost have to release him at this point. But this means that they're going to get a quarterback, and they're probably still going to start Jimmy Garoppolo for the season if he's healthy. And because this is a team that's ready to win. They were in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and they had a down year with injury. But man, this is still a really good roster. A good offensive minded coach. One of the best in the game, and this line's good. They got young emerging weapons. And the defense, it might take a little bit of a step back from the last couple years, but they're still going to be probably a top 10, top 15 defense. So they need a playmaker in this division. There's no way they're going to win it consistently with Jimmy Garoppolo. They need someone dynamic, and when you trade up, you're in love with one of those three quarterbacks, because you almost got to be in love with all of them, because you don't know what the Jets are going to do. They may pick Trey Lance. I mean, it could be a shocker. They could pick Justin Fields. A lot of people have Zach Wilson. They may keep Sam Darnold, and they might have first choice beyond Trevor Lawrence, because at this point, I think Trevor Lawrence is a lock. I don't think there's any way the Jags are going to not draft him. So the deal is apparently, the Dolphins are getting the 49ers this year, their 12th overall pick, a third-round pick, and multiple future first-round picks. So I'm guessing this is the first-round pick for the next 2 years. So this is a lot. This is a good trade package. So they obviously really, really have a high grade on one of these quarterbacks, and they're being aggressive. And whether they start him or not this year, maybe part of the season later down the road, I don't think he's going to whatever quarterback they draft is going to be day one. But they're moving on from Jimmy Garoppolo eventually. He has a huge contract, and I like this move from them. They're being aggressive, and they're trying to stay on top in the division, because sticking with Jimmy Garoppolo is never going to get them back to the Super Bowl. No matter how good their roster is overall. And for the Dolphins' perspective, this is interesting. I don't hate the move, but with Tua, he was not a disaster last year. A lot of people, they really crap on him, I guess. He wasn't a big threat with his legs. He wasn't special with his arm. He was very safe and conservative. And he kind of reminds me of, honestly, Derek Carr a little bit. Not a great arm, a good enough arm. He made a lot of good throws, very accurate with the football. Didn't turn it over a whole bunch. He had a kind of a meltdown in the last game of the season that could have really took them to the playoffs if they won that game. But overall, he didn't turn the ball over that well. So he did not play horrible. A lot of people think they did. He is a rookie. He was learning under their system, but there is legit concern that he might not be their franchise quarterback. So I think this was interesting. So this obviously means, and they also brought in Jacoby Brissett just for insurance, but this means that this year they are sold on Tua. They're going into this year. Tua is going to be their starter week one, pending injury and OTAs or training camp or preseason. Tua is going to be the starter, and they are committed. And I think they really have to be at this point. Unlike Josh Rosen, who was traded a year after he was drafted, I think 10th overall by the Cardinals. Josh Rosen was a disaster. Tua wasn't. I think he was 6-3, 6-4 as a starter. So he played okay football. He just didn't wow you. So they're really banking on Tua to take a step forward this year. And they got him Will Fuller. They're going to try to continue to prove that the offensive line, their defense might even be better. And they have a really good coach in Brian Flores. So it's a good package they're getting. They're getting back 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and they're still getting a top 15 pick. So they can get one of these receivers. Whether it be Devontae Smith if he falls, Jamar Chase, a Jalen Waddle, or they can just continue to build up the offensive line. Maybe a Rashawn Slater if he falls, but. I don't know who's going to draft to, but for the 49ers perspective, my gut feeling is that they'll be getting Zach Wilson. Actually, no, they're gonna be. I feel like they'll draft Justin Fields. He's a really dynamic athlete in the NFC West. They really need dynamic playmakers. When you have Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson, and I think someone's gonna end up trading with the Jets. I think Zach Wilson's gonna go number 2, whether it's the Jets or not. But I have a gut feeling that they're gonna stick with Sam Darnold, and someone might move up to number 2, but. They're going to either get Zach Wilson. I believe if they had the choice, Zach Wilson might be their first choice. It just depends on who falls, but I really think that the pick will end up being Justin Fields. But if they do get Zach Wilson, I would get him. I think he's the clear-cut number 2. He has a really good arm, and he's also a playmaker on the ground. Justin Fields, he's really talented too, but there's just some concerns with the consistency, and he is still a little bit raw. But I think this was a really, really interesting move, and Jimmy Garoppolo is on the clock. He needs to perform really, really well, even a chance to continue his career with 49ers. And I don't know if he has a chance to, but if he plays really good next year, he might have an opportunity to still have a starting spot in the league. But yeah, the time is on the clock. I really like the 49ers. I'm shocked a little bit with the Dolphins. I don't know if I'd want to move on from Tua, but I would have continued to scout these guys and make a decision, because if you're at number 3 and you fall in love with someone, in this league you need a dynamic quarterback, and we just didn't see that from Tua last year. Like I said, he wasn't horrible, he wasn't a mess, but you need someone that's dynamic on both with his arm and his legs, and we just didn't see that from Tua. And next year isn't a great draft class. We've been kind of lucky the last few years. We've had really good draft classes when it comes to quarterback. Next year's draft class isn't that good. So if Tua's not the answer, they might be forced to make a trade or just continue with Tua, whatever happens next year. So they're kind of trapping themselves with Tua a little bit. So I'm shocked. I would have waited until the draft, made some more decisions, but I guess they're all in for Tua. I don't think Jacoby Brissett is going to start week 1. No, Jacoby Brissett is not a starter in this league. If anything, a low-end starter, a high-end backup. But yeah, this news just came out, and I think it's a good move for the 49ers. And who knows? Maybe the Dolphins, they'll be the ones laughing as maybe Tua will improve, and he'll play really good next year. And who knows? Those picks might end up becoming really good picks. So it's a good return. It's just with the uncertainty of Tua, I don't know if I would have done it.